Prompt: a comprehensive exploration of American history. Embark on a journey through the multifaceted history of the United States, a nation shaped by revolution, conflict, cultural diversity, and resilience. The story begins long before the establishment of the United States in the 18th century, with rich and diverse Native American civilizations thriving across the continent. These indigenous communities, each with their own languages, cultures, and belief systems, had inhabited the land for thousands of years, forging a deep connection with the natural world. As we transition to the age of exploration, the narrative shifts to the arrival of European explorers. Notable figures like Leif Erikson, who stumbled upon Newfoundland in the 11th century, and Christopher Columbus, whose voyages in 1492 heralded a new era of European interest in the Americas, are pivotal in this chapter. Columbus's expeditions led to a wave of Spanish and Portuguese explorers who further unveiled the continent's potential. However, these encounters brought devastating consequences for native populations, primarily through the spread of diseases to which they had no immunity, resulting in catastrophic population declines. The influx of European settlers marked the beginning of a transformative era. As the Spanish established colonies in the Caribbean and South America, other European powers, including the French, Dutch, and English, sought to stake their claims. The French fur trade opened new economic opportunities, while the Dutch established thriving trading posts along the Hudson River. Meanwhile, the English settlers in Jamestown in 1607 began to cultivate tobacco, sparking a demand for labor that would shape the future of the colonies. The arrival of European settlers also complicated relationships with Native American tribes. As the Iroquois Confederacy engaged in fur trading with the Dutch and later the English, tensions rose, leading to conflicts like the Beaver Wars. These struggles for resources and alliances reveal the intricate web of interactions that defined early colonial life, illustrating how indigenous communities navigated the challenges of encroaching settlers. Fast forward to the mid-18th century, and the colonial landscape had changed dramatically. The British Crown, burdened by debt from the French and Indian War, began imposing taxes on the colonies, igniting discontent. Events like the Boston Massacre and the Boston Tea Party showcased the growing unrest among colonists, who rallied around the cry of "no taxation without representation." The formation of the Continental Congress marked a critical moment in the push for independence. The Revolutionary War unfolded as American patriots took up arms against British rule. Key battles like Lexington and Concord, Bunker Hill, and Saratoga tested the resolve of the fledgling nation. George Washington's leadership of the Continental Army was instrumental in securing American victory. The signing of the Declaration of Independence on July 4, 1776, crystallized the colonists' aspirations for self-governance and laid the groundwork for a new nation. Following the war, the United States faced the daunting task of nation-building. The Articles of Confederation, though a valiant attempt at unifying the states, proved inadequate, leading to the drafting of the U.S. Constitution in 1787. This foundational document established a framework for governance, emphasizing checks and balances and protecting individual rights through the Bill of Rights. George Washington, appointed as the first president, set a precedent for future leaders. The 19th century brought further expansion, often justified by the ideology of manifest destiny, the belief that Americans were destined to expand across the continent. This period saw the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, a monumental land deal that doubled the size of the nation. Lewis and Clark's expedition ventured into this vast territory, documenting its landscapes and cultures, forging essential relationships with indigenous nations. However, expansion came at a grave cost to Native Americans, as policies of removal and assimilation took hold. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 led to the forced relocation of tribes from their ancestral lands, culminating in the tragic Trail of Tears. These events highlight the stark contrast between the American pursuit of opportunity and the devastating impact on indigenous populations. As tensions between North and South escalated over issues of slavery and state rights, the nation teetered on the brink of civil war. The Kansas-Nebraska Act allowed settlers in those territories to decide the slavery issue for themselves, leading to violent conflicts known as Bleeding Kansas. The election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860 prompted Southern states to secede from the Union, culminating in the outbreak of the Civil War in 1861. The war was a brutal struggle, with battles such as Gettysburg and Antietam marking turning points. Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation transformed the war's purpose, making the abolition of slavery a central goal. The conflict culminated in 1865 with the surrender of General Robert E. Lee to General Ulysses S. Grant, paving the way for the passage of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. In the post-war era, the United States grappled with reconstruction and healing the deep societal wounds inflicted by war. The late 19th century saw industrialization transform the economy, while waves of immigrants fueled urban growth. However, this period also highlighted stark inequalities, leading to labor movements and calls for social reform. The early 20th century ushered in America's emergence as a global power. The Spanish-American War marked a turning point in foreign policy, as the U.S. began to assert its influence beyond its borders. The aftermath of World War I saw cultural shifts, characterized by the Roaring Twenties, jazz music, and the rise of consumerism. Yet, this period of prosperity came crashing down with the Wall Street crash of 1929, leading to the Great Depression. The New Deal, introduced by Franklin D. Roosevelt, aimed to revive the economy and provide relief to struggling Americans. As the nation sought to recover, the threat of World War II loomed. The attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 propelled the U.S. into the conflict, leading to a significant military mobilization that ultimately contributed to the defeat of Axis powers. Post-war America experienced profound changes, with the establishment of NATO and the onset of the Cold War, a period marked by ideological competition with the Soviet Union. The space race captured the nation's imagination, culminating in the Apollo 11 mission and the first moon landing in 1969. Social justice movements gained momentum in the 1960s, as activists like Martin Luther King Jr. championed civil rights and equality. The struggle for racial justice reshaped the nation, leading to landmark legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964. In contemporary history, the events of September 11, 2001, marked a watershed moment for the United States and the world. The attacks on the World Trade Center prompted a global response and reshaped U.S. foreign policy, leading to military engagements in Afghanistan and Iraq. Today, the United States stands as a leading global power, grappling with its legacy and future. The complexities of its history, from indigenous cultures and colonialism to revolution, civil rights, and global leadership, continue to inform the nation's identity and aspirations. As we reflect on this intricate narrative, we recognize that understanding America's past is essential to navigating its future. This prompt invites you to critically analyze the events, figures, and themes that have shaped the United States, fostering a deeper understanding of its history and the ongoing quest for a more just and equitable society.